Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this out there on the World Wide Web. This is Jeremy Geelan from SYS-CON TV here at 12th Cloud Expo, Cloud Expo New York. I am with Omar Khawaja, Global Principal of Verizon Security Solutions. Thank you for joining us, Omar.
Thank you for having me.
I know that you're busy and there's 101 things to do, but Verizon, we're so glad when you guys come to this conference and you've already been speaking. How did that go?
The talk went really, really well. I talked about a 12-step framework that we've put together to help organizations figure out how they move to the cloud. And we know that security is one of the biggest impediments to moving to the cloud. So a lot of the questions people have been answering is, how do you make sure that security is at adequate levels in the cloud? We've kind of stepped back and said, how do you figure out whether you move to the cloud or not? How do you make that decision, whether it's because of security in some cases or if it's in spite of security, and how do you select the right cloud for your specific workloads?
Excellent. So you've discovered that you need to back up, because it's no good people bumbling in and then saying it didn't do what I wanted it to do. You say, dude, you were in the wrong place.
Exactly. So make that decision, the right decision, and don't do it based on the application. Do it based on the actual data that you're going to be moving into the cloud, because ultimately if there's a reputation impact or a compliance impact, it's not because the application gets harmed, it's because the data gets exploited in some form or fashion.
Now, Omar, given that people have come at it the wrong way, what is your role? Have you got to proselytize endlessly to try and stop people rushing? It sounds like don't rush to cloud, which isn't a negative thing. It's just because if you rush, we can't help you as easily.
Yeah, a lot of what we're saying to customers and organizations is embrace the cloud. Embrace the clouds for the benefits that it provides, but do it with eyes wide open, right? Make the decisions for the right reasons, and we're helping them figure out what those right reasons are and what does that framework look like to make sure that decisions are being made to enter into the right cloud, the right level as risk is being taken, only certain types of data are being moved into the cloud versus doing it carte blanche.
How's your Latin? Festina lente, make haste slowly. It's perfect. Use it as your slogan.
There's an Italian version of that too, and I love it. Make haste slowly. Yeah.
So what should we say to people? They're watching and their pain points, let's identify them. Who are the people typically coming to Verizon in the ideal world early enough for you to really help them?
Sure. So Verizon, of course, bought Terremark, which was one of the leading cloud service providers a couple years ago. So we provide cloud services. Cyber Trust is part of the Verizon organization now, so we provide world-leading security services as well. So organizations look at us and they say, hey, you guys are the only ones that are leaders in both the cloud space and in the security space, and so you're in a great place to help us figure out how to solve these problems. So in many cases, we're doing the assessments to identify what the problems are to begin with, but then the next step is, how do you actually address them? And then being honest with the customer and saying, the cloud isn't for you, or you're not ready for the cloud. Here's some of the things, some of the basic hygiene things you have to do for your environment, for your workloads, before they're ready to be moved to the cloud.
Now, you guys are such, as you say, after the Terremark acquisition, you're such a huge company. Do I have to myself be a Fortune 500 company to even think of coming to Verizon, or can I be, an SMB?
That's a good question. So one of the things we talk about is, from a security standpoint, often organizations say security in the cloud is not adequate, and so we're not going to move to the cloud. Well, the conversation needs to be much more developed and mature than that, because when we say things like that, we're making the assumption that the cloud is a single monolithic thing and all clouds are created the same, when in fact there's multiple flavors of cloud, and therefore there's multiple levels of security in each of those flavors of cloud. So even as Verizon Terremark, we've got 3 different flavors of cloud. So if you've just got basic things you want to do, you just need CPU, you don't have very mission critical data that you're putting into the cloud, you enter in at a different level, versus the other end of things where some of our most sensitive government organizations work with us, who have a lot of sensitive critical information that has consequences to national security. We give them a different cloud. So it's making the assessment of what cloud is right for you. Is it one of the 3 flavors Verizon offers as part of its enterprise cloud portfolio, or maybe it's one of our competitors?
I'm sure it's not, well, I hope it's not a state secret, but I remember Verizon giving a fantastic keynote showing the global diversity of its data centers. What position is that now at after the acquisition? And this must be just colossal.
It is. We've got lots and lots of data centers, actually over 200, but we've dwindled that down to our marquee data centers, and so we have about a little bit over 50 that are scattered across all continents in the world.
So, and latency doesn't play a role there. It's better to get the exact right ones and build them up, make them mega big.
And that's the benefit of not only having the cloud and having the data center infrastructure across the globe, but we also have the security that we can map on top of that. And then, of course, we're a network provider, so we've got one of the most connected networks and the private side and the public internet side in the world, and we get to bring that all together for our customers.
What are we going to see? I know you're in a hurry, but let's just snatch the visionary side of Omar. What are we going to see, Omar, in the next, with all this talk about traffic doubling every 5 years, and I'm sure you're going to probably tell me, oh, Jeremy, it's not going to take 5 years to double, so it's going to be like 2. What does that mean for a Verizon Terremark? Have you just got to keep growing like so fast to keep up? And how can you even do it?
Sure. So, that has implications across the way. So on the network side, we have to keep up. On the data center side, the storage side, the compute side, we have to keep up. Big data is very big. And so there's a lot of things that we need to do to keep up. Security, certainly, when you look at these massive tranches of data, how do you secure it? Well, the same old security principles apply, but the way that you implement them look very different, because now you've got implications in terms of the size of data you're looking at, the speed at which it's moving, and you have to be able to protect it in near real time. So much of the static methods that we had for assessing security and enforcing security just no longer apply, and we have to figure out how to move into this new age and embrace it.
Does the sheer size of big data increase the attack surface? Is it that simple? Is there a correlation?
It certainly does. So we have this notion of the liberation of data, the fact that data is now is available in more places, through more applications, by more people, in more devices than ever before. And so now you just have that many more places to protect the information. One of the things we find when we go out to organizations and we discover data and inventory it and we actually classify it, and we turn around and ask different parts of the business, what is the value of this data to your business? For about 30 to 50% of all data in an enterprise, we find the value of the data in the business is exactly 0. So the only utility that data serves within the organization is a negative utility, in that if that data were to get exposed, it would cause harm to the business, but by that data being present, it's not yielding any benefit to the business. So when we go into things like big data, it's great from an IT standpoint to be able to support it, but from a security and a privacy standpoint, one of the questions we need to be asking is, do we need all of this data? And if the answer is no, let's delete it, let's stick it in an archive, let's not make it highly available, because when it's highly available, that's not just highly available to the good guys, but now you've made it more available to the bad guys as well.
I think we've just seen the QED of why you need to be using Verizon Terremark to consult on all of this. Fantastic insights. Thank you so much, Omar, for sharing them with us here in Cloud Expo New York. And I hope to see you and certainly see the company on the West Coast, November.
Look forward to it. Thank you for the time, Jeremy.
Thank you, and thank you for following this along there on the World Wide Web.